Trigun 1998, episode 1. I don't know if I will do a reaction video for the whole entire series. It kind of just depends on how this video goes for me and how much work it is and how things are going in my personal life. But I at least wanted to do this first episode just to kind of kick it off and to like let you guys know like I'm starting this show. I had originally planned to not watch this until I was done with the manga, but that was before I knew that this show is actually a very loose adaptation of the manga, and while it may hit some of the same story beats, watching this show before I finish the manga is not going to spoil what happens in the manga for me. I will be watching this first episode dubbed, just for my boy Johnny Young Bosch. But after this, if I do make future videos, I will be watching the sub because it's just way easier to edit. Enough wasting time. I think we should just get into it. The opening really doesn't give much away about the plot or the story at all. That might just be because it's an older... I can't be calling this an older anime when it's like the same age that I am. Let's just put it this way. I feel like more current shows have to pack in a lot of characters or action or like showing you what the show or the season is going to be about into the opening to hook you in. Shows from the 90s maybe don't do that. Either the cards close to the chest are just a byproduct of this being from the 90s, or it's kind of taking a page out of the manga's book, pun not intended, because the manga also plays things pretty close to the chest from the beginning and doesn't really tell you a lot about what it's going to be. There's just something so grounded about this era of animation. I really love it. Where the people have more character, they look more like people, even if they don't look particularly realistic. It feels more like I'm watching a show and less like I'm watching a cartoon.
I think we'd be wise to keep a safe distance.
There's the
Messing
boy.
with Vash is like dancing with death. Huh?
Is that a boomerang? Bro, that's expensive, all that ammo. Oh yeah, that is a boomerang. That looks like the guy from Trimax Volume 2, that scene with like the mansion, and then when Legato put all those guys into the truck, and like they were all like... He's not gonna have any bullets. The $60 billion double dollar man. Okay, so Vash's introduction in the manga was like a fake blood ketchup gag, and I think that I had expressed my distaste for that in my very first manga video. It just doesn't really seem to fit the vibe. I like the way that this show introduces him with still like a funny gag where he's just sitting at the table completely unbothered as everything is destroyed around him. It just seems to fit the tone better. Like you can still give him a silly introduction without making it, with all due respect to the manga, so like cheesy or juvenile.
Over half the town ain't nothing but rubble now.
But the Undertakers must be happy. So how many to get this time?
Actually, 0. There's a whole lot of injuries, but somehow no fatalities at all.
Good for him. Good for him. That's our boy. You know, Wolfwood was not in that intro at all. The girls were. No Wolfwood. And no villains either, aside from like villain of the week types.
Well, he wore red, had earrings, a giant man with short legs.
Thanks, Sheriff.
A giant man with short legs? That's the wrong Dash.
Stay away from him. What'll you have?
A banana sundae. And I will have a gâteau millefeuille with Ceylon tea. By the way, mister, we heard that Vash the Stampede showed up in Felnarl recently. Is there anything you
Stampede?
can tell us?
I love that Meryl's voice is deeper. Her voice isn't even that deep, but for an anime woman, it is. I like that they didn't give her like a high-pitched little girl voice, especially because she's small. I just don't love the infantilization of Meryl. Like, she's a career woman in her 20s. She's got a job and a life, and I don't want to see her portrayed as or treated like a child. So I really love that her deeper, more mature voice reflects who she is. I like that big old Millie is the one with the cute little girl voice.
He stands about 12 feet tall, and he wields a huge weapon. He's supposed to have a mohawk and nerves of steel. Apparently, he's got tons of henchmen and a reputation as the worst womanizer anyone's ever seen.
Absolutely none of that is true.
What he said. That's our man, all right.
Where the hell did he go? I don't care if you have to dig up the whole area. I want you to
Boss, I
find
don't
him.
believe it. That little coward couldn't be him. I thought I was gonna suffocate a minute there. Pardon me. Thanks for nothing, fellas.
Yeah, I was right. Out of bullets, what are you gonna do?
That was a pretty close one.
Somebody online said that this Vash is like if a rubber chicken was a man. I get it now.
It's actually a miracle that I got away with this.
His voice is so pleasant. Good job, Johnny. I met him, by the way, at Los Angeles Comic Con last month. I was there in like, you know, my full Vash getup, and I got this print signed, which just so happens to match my lovely and iconic paintings back there. But also he was really impressed with my arm build, and so he was kind enough to he just offered to give me a second autograph for free, and he autographed the inside of my Vash coat. Shout out to a real one.
Now, stand real still. You don't like pain, do you?
I'm used to it.
Well, I feel sorry for your wife and kids. You'll make them cry.
Ain't got no kids, and most women find me pretty offensive, so I'm single.
Sounds like a pretty lonely life.
The line delivery on that was so funny. I ain't got no kids, and most women find me pretty offensive, so that's why I'm single.
You have to die.
You have
Sure
to
make us all
die.
happy if you do.
Sorry, I don't do requests.
You can shoot me if that'll make you feel better. That is, if your big gun of yours isn't just for show.
Actually, I can't stand blood. Just the very sight of it makes me feel a little faint. Hey, couldn't you guys be just a little bit more gentle?
Let's get our precious little cargo to the feds right away.
Wait, remember when I went on that whole rant in one of my Trimax videos about like the existence of the feds and how that seems like a plot hole? Still haven't figured that out.
We're going in. Right.
Now, what do you want?
I'm Meryl Strife, and I'm here representing the Bernardelli Insurance Society. And I'm Millie Thompson. This, is a small token of our goodwill. Nice going, Meryl!
Are you here with him?
Actually, not at all. We were sent here by the Bernardelli Insurance Society to investigate a report.
I finally found you. Mr. Vash the Stampede.
What's that?
Did I miss something?
Mid-roll card and jump scare. It is funny to me that I have seen people complain about Stampede being a reboot that is nothing like Trigun, when this really isn't based on much from the manga at all. I maybe wonder if this is more of a non-manga canon pilot episode, and then they start adapting stuff from the manga in the next few episodes, like they do the next arc, the Sand Steamer. I'm not complaining about this. I just wonder what the creative mindset behind it was, because you've got perfectly good content to adapt from the manga, but they only took a handful of things.
Vash the Stampede, it's a privilege to meet you.
You think the boss is Vash? Where the hell'd you get that idea?
You're dressed in a red coat, you've got earrings, and your legs are short. I'm convinced you are Vash the Stampede.
Vash is a blonde-haired man in a red coat, and he carries a great big handgun, okay?
Vash the Stampede is a giant man with a really huge weapon and a mohawk. So what do we do now?
You're all crazy.
Oh,
I'm not
everybody's
Vash.
Vash.
Hey, boss, look.
The feds will pay $60 billion double dollars for
Just
Bash
don't
the Stampede
wear red.
if you like.
Problem solved.
Let's get him.
That's crazy.
What do we do, Meryl? We run away, that's what. I guess it is important to stay alive, isn't it? We have to give the town...
Okay, not to turn everything into like a compare and contrast, but it is fun and I like doing that. And I have 3 different, why does my hand look like a chicken leg? 3 different versions of the story to work with. It is interesting to me that Stampede Meryl gives Vash grief for running away. But in this, she's the first one to suggest it, right? Like she understands that she is at a huge disadvantage and sometimes running is all you can do. Even if it is the cowardly thing, like what's wrong with being a coward if it means that you are able to keep yourself and other people safe.
But Meryl, isn't running away like this the same as if we were abandoning our post? It's more important that we contact the town now.
Yeah. And they're not running away to run away, they're running away to save the town.
I was really getting hungry.
Give me those.
No eating disorders here.
What were you two doing there? Are ugly girls like that your type or what?
Shut up, it's not like that at all. We're disaster investigators.
So if you're really insurance people, why are you so interested in such a
He must be running so
There's
fast.
been over 300 incidents involving Vash the Stampede. It's a huge liability for any insurance company. In exchange for this and the donuts, would you consider going into town and warning the people?
Are you actually going back there?
It's the job. It's what I do. Good, there don't seem to be any casualties. But Meryl, didn't that bounty hunter get killed? I'd call that a casualty. That's true. It's very sad. Well, how are we gonna approach it?
Meryl, how can... That's absolutely a casualty. That's wild. Okay.
This time, have you got some kind of plan? Yeah, a deluxe box of 30. Hey, what a great idea!
You've got a lot of nerve coming back here.
Please accept this token of goodwill.
I hate presents. Now where's the guy you ran away with?
I don't know. We split up halfway.
What the hell are we gonna do about this, Ruth?
You're alive? How can you still be alive? I thought you two were fighting to the death.
It looks as though we both made a little error.
These two are useless.
Don't worry about it. Just enjoy them.
Oh, you've got bad taste.
They did say he was the worst kind of womanizer.
Boss, we've got a big problem!
I'm busy.
Yeah! Well, actually, it's me with the big problem here!
He came back.
Run!
Thanks for saving me the trouble of looking for you. Bash the Stampede.
Vash?
Where'd he go?
Where are you going?
To the potty, sir.
He did save our lives. Pretty pathetic hero, if you ask me.
Sorry, I'm like 12. I've seen a bunch of like random clips or GIFs or whatever from this particular episode, and I didn't know that they were all from the same episode. I just thought that the random assortment of things that I would have seen would have been more evenly spaced out over all episodes. It's like all jam-packed into this one episode. Pretty silly, goofy, but I can't help but wonder if all the bad stuff is gonna kind of all hit at once, or if it's going to slowly build to a darker sort of tone. Because this is already way goofier than the manga ever was. This does get somewhat dark in them like tying up the girls and all of that, but even though that scene is gross and uncomfortable, you as the viewer kind of know that nothing bad is going to happen to them. Vash is going to show up or the girls are going to get out, because the show hasn't built a truly dark tone yet. Not to flex on everyone again, but one of the things that Johnny Young Bosch said when I was chatting with him is that it was fun to come back and do the voice for Vash again in Stampede because it was a darker take on the character. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, that's crazy. Because at the time, having only watched Stampede and read the manga, like, the manga is way darker. Stampede is building to a place where it could be as dark as the manga, but I had always associated this show, like, I just thought that it would have a similar tone to the manga, but at the time, it does not. So I totally get why he said that Stampede was darker, and why he would have fun taking a role that had at least started out very fun and silly, and getting to work with a spin on it that is very heavy and like sorrowful from the very beginning.
Well, Vash, it's time to choose your way to die. By a boomerang or do a suicide dive off a cliff.
To tell you the truth, I disapprove of suicide more than anything.
And if I ever end up in a really terrible spot again, I'm gonna remember when Vash the Stampede told me not to kill myself. But also, let's take everything very seriously for a second. It may sound trite, but I think it's very powerful that Vash has made a pact with himself that he will not kill himself. No matter how awful things will get, despite all of that, he still continues to choose to live. He will not let himself take the despairing way out. And I think that really just speaks to the strength of his character and the strength of his conviction and the love that he has for humanity and for life, even when it is awful and terrible. That means a lot to me.
Dangerous toys are fun, but you could get hurt.
He got the boss!
That guy isn't human.
Well, correct.
Well, friends, I really hope you feel better.
He actually got both of them in a matter of minutes.
And he didn't kill them.
We're Vash the Stampede, huh?
Well, did I work off the donuts and the $10 double dollars?
You can't be him. There's just no way.
Uh-oh. The whole town.
We have determined that the landslide which destroyed Felnorel was a direct result of the illegal use of explosives by a man called Loose Ruth. After all that work, we're at less than 0 on our Vash hunt.
This episode kind of gives you the sense that bad things happen around Vash because he's unlucky or because of just silly shenanigans, whereas Stampede paints the picture from the very beginning that bad things happen around Vash because people are hunting him and Knives is out to get him. Whereas the manga paints a picture of Vash where bad things happen because people are after him. But you also get the sense that people really love him, and it kind of leaves, at least in the first couple of chapters, it kind of leaves you with a mystery, like why do people say that he causes all this chaos and trouble? What really happened with July? Because you get introduced to him with the destruction of July, but then you see who he is and you're like, this man could not have done that. Like, he wouldn't have done that on purpose, right? So it's interesting to me the way that each first episode / first chapter paints a different story of why death and destruction follow Vash everywhere.
He couldn't possibly be Vash. I just don't buy that. Are you sure?
They say he showed up in Felnar. Funny thing is, they say nobody died. You mean like you don't need God for a miracle?
Interesting. You don't need God for a miracle. Vash himself is the miracle, in a sense. Hold on, I'm gonna watch this and then you can talk. This is definitely the most Western, least space of all 3 Trigun adaptations. It was a fun time, not quite what I was expecting. Definitely goofier than I expected, which is strange because I expected goofiness. I was expecting an episode closer to manga canon. Like, I kind of thought that it would be like a Fullmetal Alchemist situation where the first part is really close to manga canon and then the second part does its own thing, but I have a feeling that this is going to maybe just chop up and remix manga stuff. So yeah, I absolutely will be continuing to watch this show. Maybe I'll make reaction videos with each episode. Maybe I'll do 1 reaction video for 2 episodes. Or maybe I'll just do like a recap or thoughts type of video. Like, we'll have to feel out the vibes and see how it goes. As always, you are completely welcome to leave a comment. I love reading the comments. Even if I don't respond to all of them, I definitely read them. But just try to keep it spoiler free. Thanks for watching. Love and peace.